I think that Cat Blanc is coming back in season 5, and here's why.
I hope Adrien has a good Christmas.
Akira.
So, Angry and Aggressed on Instagram posted this theory, which all of her theories are amazing. I definitely think you guys should go follow her. But in this theory specifically, she talks about how she believes the Cat Noir akummatization in Cat Blanc is an actual event that was meant to take place in time. So the reason the Cat Blanc timeline got erased wasn't because Cat Noir got akummatized and he was never supposed to. It's because it didn't happen at the right time or in the right way. And for the longest time, I could never get this theory out of my head, but obviously this theory is like a year old or something. So eventually I did end up forgetting about it until I noticed a few things in season 5 that made me remember this theory, hence why I'm even making this video. So basically her theory says, lately I keep thinking about Bunnocks's words here from Cat Blanc and it got my wheel spinning. There's a time for everything, and time is a fragile thing. So things and events have to happen at the right time in the right way for the timeline to stay on course, right? For example, Adrien saw Marinette with her hair down in Cat Blanc, but that timeline was erased, making the first time he actually saw her hair down in Heart Hunter. So that is the correct timeline / sequence of events and gives us some proof to the idea that the events in Cat Blanc will still happen, but in different ways. Which leads me to Bunnocks's burrow. Do you remember when Ladybug starts looking at different portals and Ladybug sees a T-Rex? At the time, that seemed odd and kind of funny, right? But take a look at Rocketeer, where we now have a T-Rex. Coincidence, or showing that the timeline to the future that Bunnocks protects is still on track? Which got me thinking about some of the events that did happen in Cat Blanc that could be redone in this correct timeline. One of them being them dancing on the 𝚑𝚘𝚊𝚘𝚘 boat. And then there's the season finale where Lila becomes the new face of the Aggressed brand. So if Marin and Adrien walking down the red carpet together in Cat Blanc was the wrong timeline, will Gabriel force Adrien to do something like that with Lila in the correct timeline? He has already made them do a photo shoot together, so our public outings next, will we see the events in the burrow take place in different ways? Will Marinette and Adrien get their ice cream? By the way, like I said, this theory is over a year old, so not all the information is correct or up to date, and that's probably why some of the things in the theory don't really align exactly right, but you guys get the gist. But anyway, what I noticed is that there are things in season 5 that line up with the events that occurred in Cat Blanc, just like how the hair and T-Rex thing she mentioned also aligned with Cat Blanc. Like for one, Adrienne getting ice cream in Cat Blanc. We saw Adrien and Marinette sitting on a bench eating ice cream together with the sunset in the background. And, well, what did we see in season 5? Adrienne eating ice cream on a bench, the exact same bench they were sitting on before, but this time with Kagami. Now there isn't a sunset, so maybe this has no correlation, but if it doesn't, there is one more scene that I was thinking could be the parallel to this scene in Cat Blanc, which is the Adrienne eating ice cream by the Statue of Liberty in Emotion. Because I think the main problem with Cat Blanc is Adrien finding out Ladybug was Marinette earlier than he was meant to, which is what triggered everything happening way too early as well, and in ways that it wasn't meant to happen, hence why Bunnocks's had to come in and fix everything. So that's why there's so many scenes that look the same as the ones in Cat Blanc, but have details that are different, and that's why I believe that Kagami was with them eating ice cream in Protection and not in Cat Blanc, because she was always meant to be eating ice cream with them, but because the timeline had already been messed up when Adrien found out that Ladybug was Marinette, she ended up not being there like she was meant to. Now, the ice cream isn't the only thing I noticed. Like in her theory, she mentioned the Adrienne dance on the boat. My ideas for this one could be wrong, and there will be a scene in the future of them actually dancing on the boat that is meant to be the parallel to the Cat Blanc scene. But for now, here's what I'm thinking. Perfection. We saw everyone on the boat, but they weren't dancing. Adrien sang a song to Marinette declaring his love to her. Once again, maybe he was always meant to be singing with her and not dancing with her, and the reason they were dancing in Cat Blanc was because the timeline got messed up. Now, this next one is quite far-fetched, but I still wanted to mention it. The scene where Marinette realizes her feelings for Cat Noir. It's raining for one, and the way she fell and cried really reminded me of Cat Blanc. Not only that, but I don't find it a coincidence that in the Cat Blanc scene, she found out the cat was Adrien, aka realizing that she was also in love with Cat Noir, since Adrien and him are the same person. And well, what happened from the scene in Determination? She realizes that she was in love with Cat Noir, but not because he was Adrien, because she just did. which once again was the real way it was meant to be. And then the last two things I noticed were the end card for both Cat Blanc and Protection. I mean, I think this kind of explains it all. The position is basically the exact same, other than them being a little further apart and Adrien and Marinette are flipped in the Protection one, but still, I really don't think this was a coincidence. And then very lastly, which is actually the biggest thing, like maybe everything I've said up until this point isn't true and they weren't parallels, but I'm telling you, this definitely is one because, well, quite frankly, it's the exact same thing over again. Not to mention, this is literally, in my opinion, the biggest proof that we have that her theory is actually correct. And it's Gabriel disapproving of the Adrianette relationship. As we all know, the biggest conflict in Cat Blanc was Gabriel not wanting Marinette and Adrien being together. It's the reason that Gabriel even found out Adrien was Cat Noir in the first place. And at the time of Cat Blanc, I never really understood why he didn't want them to be together. I mean, yeah, I know he said that he thought that them being together wasn't right for the Agreste brand, but to me that still didn't make sense. Like, I always felt like there was something a little more deeper to that. And, well, with the knowledge that I have from season 5 now, with the whole Kagami thing, I understand now. So anyway, if Gabriel still doesn't approve of Adrianette's relationship, even in the real timeline, clearly he was actually never meant to approve of their relationship. And obviously, all this has to do with Cat Blanc himself, is because the fact that the main conflict of Cat Blanc is happening again, and there have been a bunch of parallels to Cat Blanc in the real timeline, I think that this only means that Cat Noir is meant to be akumatized, but at a different time and in a different way than he was in Cat Blanc. And then all of the parallels were there to show us that the timeline is on track, but also it was kind of hints at his second and real akumatization. Like I said, I do think that it is going to be a little bit different, and the things that I think are going to be different is Gabriel won't know who Cat Noir or Ladybug is, neither will Natalie. Cat Noir doesn't find out about his mom or his dad being Monarch, and like that's not the reason he got akumatized. Like I said before, this time it won't get erased at all, like Bunnix won't come in to fix anything because, well, it was meant to happen. And then I think Cat's powers when akumatized, and maybe even his look altogether will be different. Anyway, in conclusion of all of this, I believe that in Cat Blanc we saw how the events would have taken place if they had gotten messed up, and now we are seeing the real timeline, the way these events were meant to happen.